cuffs are off, man. Get right. Too many left in these leagues, but I ain't gonna.
Hey everybody, Adam Rank here.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus Grant from NFL Network.
It's AJ Dillon of the Green Bay Packers.
I got to give a shout out to y'all at Get Right Fantasy.
If you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? You want to lose your league?
Check out the Get Right Fantasy Network.
You got to get right with the Get Right Fantasy Network.
Best of luck with your podcast. Appreciate the support.
And you're tuned in to watch my boys at Get Right Fantasy Network. Get you right. Enjoy the show.
Marking often, but I tune in every Friday. Strategies provided, I will lock in every way. So go and roll your sleeves up. Yeah, go and roll your sleeves up. And I'm getting down, cause I roll my sleeves up. And I'm getting right, cause I roll my sleeves up.
What up? What up, world? We are back. It's Friday. I'm Anthony, aka Rasta. This is Get Right Fantasy Network, and I'm here with your boy Classic Mike. How you doing, Classic Mike? What's up tonight?
I'm so much better now. That was I loved it. It sounded great. It looked great. I'm really happy with all that.
Happy 900, man. We hit 900. We dropped a new intro. Thank you guys all out there for the support. We can't thank you enough. And so we'll just keep doing what we do best, man, and keep bringing you these mock drafts every Friday night for our Friday night mocks. As you guys know, we roll our sleeves up every Friday here, put in that work. So when it comes to draft time, you're playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. So we got some special guests in here tonight. Why don't you roll them in here? I just met these guys, man, through Twitter. This is what it's for. We got Steve. We got Joe here. Welcome, brother. How you guys doing? It was nice to meet you. Welcome here. Scott Fishbowl is a wonderful thing to meet new people. How's it going?
Hey, we're doing well. I'll speak for myself here. I know Joe's doing pretty good too, but yeah, we're excited to be here. Anthony, thanks so much for reaching out and for us to be a part of the Get Right Network tonight. Excited to talk some Scott Fishbowl mock draft. We both are in it for the first time this year.
Me too. Oh, what are you pressing over there?
I'm sorry.
You kicked him out. That's what he does.
Hey, that's what you do with your first time guest? Come on now.
Sorry.
Steve.
There it is.
I was trying to queue up everybody else.
That was pulling the hook out. All right, Joe, no, your time to talk.
For sure. I'm going to switch this up here because I don't want you blocked with the comments. We'll go like that. We'll make it a little get right, I guess, versus the front office pros over here, left and right. So we'll duke it out a little bit. But what's up, Calvin? Welcome. He couldn't get in his 11 spot. Shout out. He's live drafting in Texas, I believe. So he's popping and showing us some love, man. So he's saying the 11s represent. Josh in here saying he's drafting tomorrow. He's excited to get in one last mock. So that's what we're here for. It's our last mock as well. I'm sorry to cut you guys off on that, man, but I had to show the love to the people because they're the reason why we're here, man. Without them, we couldn't do what we do. But it's nice to have you guys here, man.
How you doing, Joe?
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. Excited to be on here and get a mock draft under my belt here before my slow draft on Monday.
Nice, man. Nice.
That's awesome. You got to show off the shirt, man.
Yeah.
Rep the division.
Fishbowl shirt in the Portillo's division.
Let's go.
That's right.
I got the hat going on here. Snickers division. Shout out. Yeah. 2-spot in the house. So look at, we got people dropping in, repping the 10s. Go ahead, Mike. You got it.
Yeah, I got it.
So
I got the 7s and it's a Sbarro League. Excited. Live draft going on next Saturday. Excited about that. Can't wait to get together with all the guys from New York and have a good time. So
absolutely.
You guys ready?
Let's bring it up, man.
We were ready. We're born to be ready here.
See, you don't have to get ready if you stay ready, as I like to say. So, of course, as you're getting that up, I got to give one little promo here. You got to hear me talk for just a little while longer. Make sure you guys go check out UnderdogFantasy.com, man. They're a great best ball platform. They got the Best Ball Mania 4 going on right now. $3 million to first place. Second place is $2 million. Third place, you could get the bronze and still be a millionaire. So go get in there, get your best ball drafts in. They have the Dalmatian.
You got to start.
They got a bunch of other ones. We'll get started here. I'm in the promo. It's okay. But you got to also check out their weekly winners as well too. It's a kind of new thing that they got going on where they're paying out $20,000 to the top scoring team each week. So it's a whole kind of different setup there to your best ball. So just make sure you guys go check them out. When you do, use that promo code GetRight. And when you do, and you make that deposit, they will do 100% match up to $100. So that's just free money, man. So go get it. Get right. Let's go. You can bring it down now. You got it?
Let's go. You.
All right. So, I'm on the clock. Let me do this here. I almost got through my.
I was gonna say you're talking right through
Usually I have it. Yeah, usually I have it queued up, but I'm a big Kelsey fan here if he falls to me at the 102. So we'll make sure that happens. Followed by Mahomes here. Jalen Hurts goes first. But yeah, man. So let's get into it. So, what else do we got going on, Mike? Why don't you tell these guys about a little bit what the Scott Fish Bowl is for those that don't know what we're doing tonight?
Sure. This is a big charity league that's set up by Scott Fish. He's been doing it for 13 years now. He's been, he's a really huge contributor and really does well, with charity and, setting this particular league up. Honestly, it is probably one of the, from July or from June to actually probably before that, May to June to July, this is going on. So, he gets as many people in as he can. There's 3,300 people in this particular, league this year, and a ridiculous amount of divisions. I can't even tell you how many. But beyond that, right now the scoring is the big thing right now is scoring is going to be no negative points. There are no negative points this year. There are 2.5 for running backs per carry. Kickers get the 3.3 for extra points. The tight ends get an extra, it's basically a super tight end. That's why we have Kelsey going at the 102.
Yes, sir.
But other than that, there's super flex. There's a third round reversal. So that's why you see a bunch of QBs going off the board. There's tons of strategies, different things that go on all the time. Believe me, that what you see on this is definitely not what's going to happen in a live draft or anywhere else. Buffalo just had their live draft yesterday. They just started up. They were the first ones to go, and it is not what people thought it was. It is definitely a little bit of a crazy thing, and it's great. So that's.
Did you see Lamar go 101 in the UK draft today?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
that was amazing.
And UK is starting up right now. We got other people that are going to be going tomorrow, as we saw. Who's going tomorrow? We got Josh Walker going tomorrow. He's saying. Say hello to my co-host Brian Ford. He is drafting there as well. That's awesome. I can't wait to meet him. I got to put Twitter handles to names, because we have one big group, and I know everybody by their Twitter handle. I don't really know anybody I don't know anybody by their name anymore. Just because I told people, when you go to the expo, you're better off wearing a your profile picture as a shirt, because otherwise I won't know you.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. So beyond that, that's really the Scott Fish Bowl. It's just a bunch of craziness. This year, it's indulge. So, basically points. You got to beat the median scoring as well. So there's a lot that you have to kind of factor in when it comes to this. But it's fun. This is where you come to have fun and enjoy drafting and being in a league with a bunch of guys that, you might not know. And it's really fun. And you get to face some of the top guys in the industry too, which is another thing. Everybody does this. I don't want to rattle off all the names. I'm loving the reaction, Steve.
Yeah. That's why it was good that we're doing this here. Let them give time to make their picks here.
Yeah,
I want to get your.
You got their pick. Yeah. We have to kind of. We're gonna have to. This is gonna be a rare occurrence. Well, it's rare that we're all like in that same little spot. We're at the 9, 8,
7, 8, 9.
So we're definitely gonna be sniping each other. It's fine. Thanks for not. It's fine. I wasn't gonna take.
Yes. Well done, Joe.
I wasn't gonna take Barkley anyway. So,
I already like you, Joe. I already like you.
No, honestly, it's fine. For me, I like Barkley. I know that there's a rare chance, and I'm trying something new to see if I like what I get. I've come to there are different strategies that I try to do, and we were talking off air beforehand, and we were talking about you guys. Nice, I sniped Hammer here.
Let's go.
Oh, wait, who sniped who? Someone sniped him. It's fine. I don't know who sniped you, Hammer. I want to know. But what strategies? I mean, I know that we talked offline. You said that you guys you haven't done this yet,
Albert.
But what are some strategies that you guys are thinking of trying, or what you want to try? I mean, you've probably watched others do a couple mocks and stuff, and seen their teams. So, how do you guys feel about that currently?
You got to throw it to one of them, or else they don't know. So I'm going to pick Joe first, since I'm picking Joe first because he sniped you. So go ahead, Joe. And I cut him off earlier, so I feel bad for that. So the floor is yours, my friend.
Basically, shouting out to the 108 chat here, and we're trying to strategy of taking some running backs early and playing a little running back bully ball essentially here, and that's what I'm gonna give a go tonight.
Thank you for giving me that secret.
He's disclosing the 8 chats going on, man, Joe. You're not supposed to fall for it like that. Come on, rookie mistake.
Find a different thing to say.
Gotta say something different. Gotta say.
Well, I mean,
you gotta be like, yeah, we're trying this wide receiver heavy approach right here. So you're sitting with 2 running backs. So you gotta.
It's kind of the proof is in the pudding with my first 2 picks here. So.
No, it's fine. I mean, 12 looks like what is this? Kilroy? He's looking like he's
Kilgore.
Doing that. Kilgore. There we go. And whatever. I'm bad with names.
He's killing it. It's okay. We all know.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they're just stealing every running back, where it kind of changes my philosophy here, because right now I'm in a spot where I could have potentially 2 really good people, and I'm gonna have to wait.
You got to try to get at least 2 out of the first 3 good people, Mike. I mean, we're all shooting for that.
I'm not going to say
Josh
who it is.
I know. I'm just messing with you. Josh says he'll take that Allen Digg stack. How'd we let that happen?
I don't know,
guys. How do we let this happen?
Well, I mean, Cup is a better option for me, and
ooh, that hurts, Joe. Cousins.
No,
that hurts.
That hurts you because of your
yeah.
The way that
hurts. You hurt me from all the way over here.
I was hoping to get some better running back options back to me, but that
wasn't going to happen.
Was kind of stole them also.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well, it puts me in a spot because there's a player that I want AJ Brown, but it just doesn't help my team with the build that I'm doing.
AJ Brown helps every team. Classic.
No, it doesn't. Not when I have 2 guys in the 10 week, the week 10 bye.
Bye weeks overrated.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You got to remember that.
See, I remember. I think about the bye week for a little bit, and it's really, if I have 2 of my main guys out for that particular week, that sucks. That week is just, and that time, Rossi, you said the playoffs start the 12th, right?
Yeah. So the regular season is week 1 through 11, and then playoffs start week 12, running through week 17.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where I want to, I think around that point it's going to be a little bit tight. So, yeah.
Just saying he's going 0 RB on the fly.
He's going to have to, because it makes sense, because if you're stealing all the top backs in the first, in that 8 and 12 spot, it makes things very difficult to do anything else. Like, you definitely want a guy that is going to have a ton of touches, that's going to get a ton of volume. At least that's what I keep seeing. Just because of that 0.25, it just helps with that extra carry, and that 3rd down point is huge as well. So now it's just trying to find a happy median, especially because this board is different than what we've dealt with in the last few, the last 3 mocks that we've done. So definitely got to see what we have going on here. Now, without divulging any other information for your particular chats.
Go.
God damn you, Rasta.
Let's go, baby.
That's all right.
Give me some Sun God Goff stack right now. Let's go.
I have other ways of other things I'm thinking of. But do you guys? What's your normal strategy? I'm not talking about Scott Fishbowl. Like, what do you guys like doing? Do you guys like doing the 0 RB method? Do you guys like doing, hero RBs? Like, what's your normal strategy? I'm not talking about here. Let's talk about just normal redraft. How do you guys feel?
Throw it to Steve.
Yeah. So I didn't get an opportunity either to say what my my plan is here.
Then do
so
it.
I gotta spill a little bit there. I won't say anything about the 109 chat though. I'll keep what's said there a secret. I think for me, so it's interesting because Joe and I have actually been in a long-standing league that does points per first down. Nice. Which obviously Scott Fishbowl has that for quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends, and completions and attempts. So I have familiarity with that. So that isn't as much of a wild card for me. The wild aspect that I've also been in a tight end premium league as well. I think there aren't many leagues that are in tight end premium. So I think that also could lead to people not, like you're seeing Kelsey getting drafted really highly, which is the reason for that. So I think for me, my pick's going to come up. So I'm going to, have a brain fart here in about a minute. But, the running the 0.25 per carry is probably the one aspect that I've not had before. And then obviously like no negative, but I don't really think that will affect things too greatly. My dream scenario is I really would like to see. Hold on, one moment, please.
Oh, I get it.
Talk amongst yourselves.
You guys weren't kidding about that bully running back. I mean, it's
good
tough,
job, Joe.
Because honestly, I've been seeing the opposite. I've been seeing a lot of people doing the bully wide receiver in like best ball recently. I can't believe how many wide receivers are gone by the third round. I was looking before. I was in one, and I looked in the third round, and I'm like, maybe Hurts will make it back to me at like I think I was at the 6 or the 8 or whatever it is, and I'm sitting there like, he'll definitely get back. And then I look at the wide receiver list and who was there, and I'm like, Calvin Ridley, like why is there so little? And so this just looks like the opposite. So it's trying to work with what you got here. So
as far as my strategy goes, I think the ideal for me is I get a QB at 1.9. I would like. I've seen Herbert there. I've seen Lawrence usually there and Fields there.
Yeah,
I probably would. I don't know. My strategy with Scott Fishbowl is like, because ultimately, like, you want to do well, right? And ultimately maybe win. Like, if you're gonna win, though, you need to have variance. Like, you can't just pick like chalk players. Yeah, if you pick chalk players, like there's so many other leagues, so many other divisions within Scott Fishbowl. Like, you're not going to do it. Like, I don't know who won, but I have to imagine that person probably had like Jalen Hurts on their team because obviously he had that
6th
huge
round
jump, right? Yeah. Exactly right. You get him later, and he makes this huge jump. So to me, when it comes to who I'm picking. Which obviously right now that does not show with who I've drafted so far, but I would want. So this is good to get this out of my system. But like I genuinely want to pick players that are like who I think could make this huge jump. Is my thought process.
Yeah,
nice.
You definitely want to have a lot more upside than you do the floor plays, and that's a very difficult thing for me. I'm more of a floor play guy for a lot of scenarios. I like
your name wouldn't be Classic Mike if it wasn't.
Exactly. But I like a little bit of consistency comparatively to those 30-point games here and there, because you're not always going to get those 30-point games. I'd rather grind it out and be in that if you have 4 teams make it to the playoffs, I want that number 4. Like I pretty much will grind it out to the very end, and my team will be pretty good, leading up until that point. So I feel that it's one of those things that I feel a little bit better about. But I always try to look for upside where I can. Recently I've definitely looked at it recently.
Yeah, see, I'm definitely an upside player. And one of the things that I think is kind of difficult for me, and Joe can attest this too, but actually, because Joe and I are in a lot of the same leagues together. But actually, I have much more familiarity with auction leagues. Go ahead. Wait, Anthony,
No, he's just pointing out our what I posted. You're good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't mind me. Don't mind me.
Yeah, but yeah, so I'm more familiar with auction leagues. So like the whole snake process for me is also kind of like, because I don't do many snakes. So I have to kind of get my head wrapped around it. So I am always for upside, guys. To me, I tend to go more studs and duds approach, because if you don't have a stud, you're most likely not going to win. That's how I genuinely play. So as far as my typical strategy, I usually would say I try to get a stud running back and a stud receiver, and then build out from there for guys who I think that could make that jump. But I don't know. I'm starting to be a believer in the zero running back strategy, because more than likely these running backs are going to get hurt, and you can pick up somebody on the waiver and dump all your fab to get them. So I feel like it's kind of influencing what I could do. Because I feel like I think if you have, let's say you have McCaffrey and he gets hurt, you're toast. So to me, it's like, I don't know, the durability for that position is just rough in my opinion.
That's fair.
True, but I think he played all 17 last year.
McCaffrey did.
Yeah, rare occurrence.
Yeah, but Taylor didn't.
And well, not let this happen on this show. Classic.
No, I will say the only thing, the one thing, the good thing about CMC is the place that he went to be able to play in all 17 games, because of the concept that he got a breather. You have somebody that can actually spell him and make it so that Mitchell. He doesn't. Exactly. And Mitchell is serviceable. Now, granted, Mitchell was out for most of the season, and he only played like 3 or 4 games of that 17, but they were able to, rotate him in and out, only give him 60% of the particular offense. So it wasn't the 100% that he had in Carolina, and it wasn't killing him, and he still was productive. So yes, CMC he should be fine based on what we've seen and how things go in the system and so on and so forth. I'm not really worried about him. I'm actually higher on him this year than I was last year, where I had him at like running back 7 to start the year. So, I was harsh on him, Lamar. Oh yeah, I was very harsh on him, Lamar, and Kyle Pitts, but it was all based on price.
2 out of 3, that's good.
Yeah. You did have Eckler as your RB1 though, so
what?
You had Eckler as your RB1 though, right?
I did.
Last year?
I had Eckler as my RB1.
So I'll give you that.
Yeah. I was very high on Eckler last year, as you saw in our show, starting us off. Like he was one of my top guys last year. I saw a good path to leading the league, just from the season prior. He really had a really good, just overall everything, So I'm excited. This year, especially too. I think in Dynasty, I wouldn't say falling off, but he's definitely not one of my top options, just because he's on the older end of 20, and that's becoming the hard thing to do. You guys are a little bit more Dynasty focused, correct? It don't matter who answers. You guys are Dynasty focused.
He's a bad host. Yeah,
I am.
You got to throw to the person. You got to pick one. And then you got to keep track so you can alternate, not leave feel left out. Classic. Come on, you got this.
Whatever.
You've been doing this a while.
I'll let Joe go. Go for it, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, our channel is definitely Dynasty focused. We definitely do a mixture of Redraft and Dynasty, but Steve had the idea that he wanted to do Dynasty. We kind of got sick of the same old Redraft process, wanted something new and exciting, and kind of led us to this path with our league format with the salary cap and everything involved in that, and switch to the Dynasty route just to add something new and exciting to us.
Nice. I like
that. We like to talk about Dynasty, Redraft, like Joe was mentioning, salaries and contracts, which adds a whole new element, which makes it a ton of fun. And then we even talk about IDP players as well. We both like IDP.
Oh, you guys are a big IDP group. I like that. I don't mind that either. We got our buddy here saying hi, Martin. He's a big IDP guy as well over at Dynasty Pylon.
Let's go, Martin.
He's basically you guys in that aspect. He follows a lot of that and covers a lot of the IDP stuff. So he's definitely someone to if you're looking for some advice, Martin's the guy. I always
link in the description.
Yeah. So make sure you guys check him out.
For everyone on here. We're all in the description. Check us out and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already.
Yeah,
that's right. Hammer. That's right.
I like that, Hammer. Only way to play Dynasty is with IDP. I like that.
It's coming. Let's go.
Let's go.
No, it's awesome.
Yeah, those team when I see Team Dynasty like where you have team defense in Dynasty, that just irks me to the fullest.
Team Dynasty in Dynasty should not be a thing.
If you're gonna have defense in Dynasty, go IDP.
Let's do IDP. Yeah, I'm all good with that. I'm good with defense, defense as a stat. I'm cool with that. Having that be something that you guys go play with. One of my leagues, we still use it. It definitely makes it a little bit more challenging because that the negative points involved and all that, and the swings that can happen from it. Because you can have a defensive team go for 20 some odd points. So I'm Hammer just got sniped.
Nice.
Nice.
Honestly,
I wasn't even. I didn't even recognize. I just didn't realize that. Honestly, I was stuck at that pick. I was looking at. I mean, I don't know what's going on with the running backs, man. Right before him, I was like, bing, 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 bing. So
you're gonna have one fall.
Yeah.
Right. So now I'm like, what do I do?
I was disappointed. I wanted Sanders over Madsen there, but
I like Sanders a lot as an upside play because if in the event that he is used in the passing game, I don't know, that video came out, with Frittier and Frank Reich talking about him having a ton of targets, which he did in his rookie year, but he didn't do it after the fact. But he's the type of guy who, based on his ADP, could cash in for you and be a lot better. So I like him a lot. Way better than the likes of Connor, Pierce, and even Madison.
Nice. I like that. So Calvin's got a question for you guys. So how do you guys, well, I'm just going to say all you guys. So how do you guys feel about stacks and week 7 matchups for Scott Fishbowl? Joe, what do you think?
Hey, good shot. Good shot.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't reach for a stack. But I'd say if you could definitely get one there, I mean, it's no doubt they're valuable to have. But I wouldn't go against the IDP or reach in order just to have a stack.
That's fair. I agree with that.
I'm definitely. I think stacks are huge, especially with week to week matchups. Oh wait, hold on. Give me 50 seconds.
No, you're good. It's unfortunate because,
how we time that, huh?
We're right in the middle. We're right in the middle, so it makes things so much more different. So I apologize, but yeah, I completely agree. I think stacks are something that, if it happens organically and you can get the value for it, I think it's better. I think that if you take, if you're trying to aim high.
Oh, I got sniped. I was going to take Rashad White. What happened? I just noticed this.
He's searching. He's where'd he go?
Oh, my word.
A strong piece of advice for a lot of people that I've tried to give. The best thing you can do is fill your queue with guys that you're unsure of with ADP. Because ADP for sleeper, for for
do you know what's going to take him next, Dave?
The Broncos fan. Come on, Joe. I knew you were going to.
I know. You knew exactly what I was going for.
Okay. So
you're going to go for Watson. I guarantee it right here.
So we're going. We got a Broncos fan and we got a Bills fan. If I saw correctly. All right. Yep. Cool. No, that's awesome. I'll let Joe make his pick. But Steve, how are you guys feeling with the Kincaid pick? The offense as a whole. Do you guys, is everything just status quo? Everything's going to be okay?
Well, let's just say, Classic Mike, I don't want to say too much about what I think about Dalton Kincaid or might reveal what I'm going to be doing here. Let's just say this. I'm a huge Kincaid fan. I think Kincaid is going to be very, very good. I understand Joe and I have talked about this at length, but I know the stats. I know what happens with tight ends and how they don't typically perform in their rookie year.
Yep.
However, he's not going to be a prototypical tight end. They're going to play in 12 personnel. Dawson Knox is going to be, primarily, he's going to be going out for passes, but he'll be primarily blocking. Kincaid's just going to be out there. I think he's just going to dominate. Especially in this. I'm taking the gamble and watch. So now, when they're watching this, they're gonna snipe me. But I'm taking the gamble that I'm gonna. I might go with Kincaid as my tight end and draft him at the 11th or 12th round, and that's my guy. That to me, you need to take that type of gamble if you're gonna go up a few pegs.
No, that's fine.
Absolutely.
I see the path in some ways, but I also am a little hesitant to think so. But I definitely see the skill set, and he's definitely a talented tight end as a whole. Joe, you're a Broncos fan, as we just pointed out, and you guys have had some. You guys had a rough season. I'm just gonna leave it at that. You had a very rough season last year.
Yikes!
With
tell me how you really feel. Classic.
No. Hey, I rolled.
It's fair. He's completely right.
I rolled with Russell Wilson, and he was my guy last year. That was my thing. So, with that being said, the fact, how are you guys feeling now that you get, a Hall of Fame coach essentially with Sean Payton coming in? He brings in everybody that he wanted to come in, and I mean, he's got a stable of a really good staff behind him as well. Not to mention the fact that your team, beyond the calamity that you guys had with Russell last year, you guys have on paper a pretty good team. Your defense is solid. There's not many pieces that need to be fixed. You have one of the best corners in the league with Surtain. I love Surtain. I think he was a great pick. How are you feeling this season now with the changes that were made? Do you feel a little more confident? Do you feel that you guys are going to do better this season? I mean, everyone wants to do better, of course, but do you guys feel like this is going to be, what the moves were made, we're going to be a better, situation this year?
Yeah, I'm feeling way more confident in the Broncos heading into this year. I mean, just having Sean Payton as the head coach, and like you said, the staff that he brought in, and we got actual professionals with experience as a head coach. I mean, last year Hackett brought in everyone's a first-year coach, and it really showed. It just, like you said, it was just an absolute calamity from that standpoint. So I think just having the coaches, I mean, the Broncos last year, their defense was so good. If they would have scored 18 points per game.
What?
Team.
This early? Are you kidding me?
They mad at me.
Oh, man.
Steve.
Listen, if you're watching the live, I need an explanation. What's going on
he's
here?
Watching. He's watching.
Okay.
I need an explanation. What's going on?
He's the
Said he had to
funnier
get the
part
stack.
is he's lying because he has Diggs at the top. So if he really wants that huge stack, I mean, good for him. But you have to.
That's the way to do it.
You know what? This is actually a good thing. This is a good thing that this happened, because this is going to happen in your draft. You're going to have situations where, one, you don't say a damn word to anybody. When you walk into that place, you are, I don't like anybody.
Poker player, yeah.
Poker player, you want to not, well, you guys are doing slow drafts, so no one hears anything.
Yeah.
But at the end of, I'm going to a live draft. I have to be different. I have to change the way I do things, the way that I think, the way that I I normally go about doing things. Right here, I could probably grab, JSN and, go on and, do my thing from there. But I'm not going to do that. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I might want to go with James Cook. No, I'm going to just switch it up, and I'm going to go with my tight end that I wanted to pick.
Whoa.
So
I didn't expect that.
I normally don't go into Njoku, but I like the value that I get here at this particular spot. But either way, you don't say anything, because
I learned that now.
Oof. But thankfully, you're not in a live draft. You don't have to worry about it. I mean,
it's just
I'm not going to lie. I did a mock with a guy that's in my division on his show, and I shouldn't have said that I was in his on his show or in his league. That was just dumb of me. And I did two with him, actually.
Wow.
Shout out to Ryan Rice over there at Football Guys and Club FF. So I mean, he's a good guy though.
Did he get you? Did he get you?
No, he wasn't even in the mock. He was just hosting.
Oh no, that. I was talking to Hammer over here.
Oh, he's in.
He said he was anticipating a snipe. Was that Fairmouth a snipe?
No,
no.
The anticipation.
He already had Hawk.
So then, I'm curious, so you guys, I guess, when it comes to Kincaid, then is that typical that you seeing him draft in the 8th or 9th round, or do you see him as like a more of a, because based on sleeper, which
I'd say 9th, 10th round.
Okay, so you see him going ahead of the likes of Njoku and Frymouth.
No, well, that based on me and what I've seen, no, he would normally go around this turn at like the 9-10,
okay.
Most likely dropping down to the 10. But it's not to say that it's not a good, it's not a good pick. I mean, if maybe.
Oh no, I don't doubt it's. I don't doubt it's a bad pick. I'm saying I want him, so I need to know, because the thing is with Scott Fishbowl, you can't trade it. You can't trade that. So I almost feel like you're gonna see because again, I've never done this before.
Go get your guy.
I almost think you're going to see more severe reaches, because it's like, whoa.
Very much so. So, an
Absolutely.
example, I picked Deontay Johnson. He was somebody that was buried in the ADP. I grabbed him early because I knew he wasn't going to make it back, because I know Rasta was going to go for it, or somebody in that particular vicinity on the far end. So for me, I'm looking, whenever I'm trying to make my reach pick, it's usually on the way back from my long wait, if that makes sense. And that's normal what I do in
I got you. So right now, this would be my reach pick right here.
If you want to do a reach, now would be it, because he ain't
coming back. Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's one of those things.
Snake Draft 101.
Yeah. So that's just a suggestion. That's a something that I suggest to people that are looking to grab their guy. Get him on the way back if you're on one of the ends. Like, always grab it on the way, because it makes it where you don't have to stress as much on the way back, and you can just let the board fall to you on the way back. So that's just my little 2 cents there. And like I said, don't go for stacks. It's just not worth it. Rasta, you are the guy now, because I'm making my pick.
So when you guys are drafting, are you looking at I'm assuming you would draft. Do you draft on a desktop or mobile? I guess, and then would you do desktop? Would you most likely have your roster page open so you can see the bye weeks you have? Because I'm looking right now, it's okay, Moore's 13. Jefferson's 13. Cook is 13. So then it's oh wow, that was probably something I should have been more aware of.
So what I usually do for most, for what we're running currently, I have 2 up. I usually run I run the screen on one end, and I run another on the other. So I don't even have to touch one. So you guys can't even see what I'm doing, which is why I do it that way. I make it so that I can you can see everything on the screen. I don't have to worry about it. But if I'm doing this for, if I'm doing this for the slow drafts and stuff, are you guys both on Sleeper?
No, I'm on my fantasy league.
Ooh, you're on MFL. Very cool. And you're on Sleeper.
Yeah, I'm on Sleeper. Yeah.
So for Sleeper,
we're split also. I'm Sleeper. Yeah. He's MFL.
Yeah. So in this case, what I would suggest, you got time, which is good. You at least can take a minute to kind of look at your team, make your choice and decision. I got 90 seconds. So, it makes it a little bit more difficult. These are more of a representation of what I'm going to be dealing with while I'm at the draft.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But for you guys, you get more time. So take your time, make yourself look at the particular grouping, check their bye weeks, because it's going to be like one of these, so you get to be able to see everything. But I would definitely have your roster at one point up so that you can see everything and double check everything. MFL, strong suggestion, make sure that you fill your queue with guys that are lower than what ADP is showing for MFL, because MFL has a completely different ADP compared to us. Now, another scenario that we got to talk about because we're getting to the point. It's not there yet, but I'm still going to bring it up anyway now, is because it's not going to happen for at least another 3 rounds. But since the one thing that I forgot to mention in the beginning about, Scott Fishbowl and the differences and all that fun stuff, the one big difference is the platforms. So platforms wise, MFL has 4 technical flex spots where you can play anybody other than a quarterback for the 3. But for the last one is a super flex. But the super flex is a super flex. You can even play a kicker in that particular spot. With Sleeper, you have a designated kicker spot. So there is a kicker spot only, and that's it. So you got to always be aware of that. The cool part is, we've talked about this a few times on the show, is the fact that kickers for MFL are actually somewhat valuable and can be valuable more than in Sleeper, just because you're having to start one comparatively to you don't need to start one. So you can, I guess it's varied, right, Rasta? I mean, how do you feel about that? Because for me, I'd rather have a couple more options than not, because I want to be able to have the ability to flex out, and I don't have to necessarily go to a, wide receiver, running back, or whatever, because they actually score within, like, what was the number? Wide receiver 19.
Yeah, so basically, Tyler Bass, who was the what was the kicker 1 last year, in the current Scott Fishbowl scoring, because you get that 3.33 for the extra point. Yeah. So basically, he would have actually outscored Justin Tucker, who was the normal kicker 1 last year, but was the kicker 12 in the Scott Fishbowl setting, because they didn't score as many touchdowns with that 3.33. So basically, Tyler Bass at 16.1 points per game scored basically the equivalent to the wide receiver 19, which was Michael Pittman at 16.8 points per game. So basically, your top kickers are scoring, mid wide receiver 2 and almost outscoring wide receiver 3's kickers 1 through 12.
Yeah. See, that's why.
And you can flex up to 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah. And that
MFL.
For MFL, I think that's a little bit of an advantage comparative to Sleeper. I still think that, because Josh actually asked this question, do you think that one platform has an advantage because of that? I don't know if it's an advantage. I think it might be for if it's based on your perception of things. I think it is a little bit. I mean, Roster, I don't know how you feel about it. When it comes to if it's an advantage or not, but I think that it's going to be. I personally, I do think it's an advantage for MFL, platform people, but that's just me. I could be wrong. What do you think?
Yeah, for me, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's an advantage, but it's just you're still drafting 22 rounds. Yeah. So it just depends on how you're spending those picks. They're all basically flex options at that point anyway, because your top receivers and running backs and quarterback in your onesie positions are already filled. So it's really just a flex position to me. So it's just another guy. And do you think this guy is going to outperform this guy? Yeah. So it's not necessarily, I don't think, a crazy advantage. And if it was that much of an advantage, I would think that they wouldn't have a big tournament like this that would have one side of it that would have a huge advantage over the other.
Now,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, my biggest thing is if you had to think about it, you're thinking, about the current scenario. Would you rather have, because Rick brings it up in MFL, I think I'm going to draft all skill players than pick up kickers off waivers, still tinkering around with that particular idea. It's not a bad idea, but the problem with that is that 1, there's 12 other teams. 2, everyone's going to, most people are going to draft at least 1.
I would say at least 3 to 4 in MFL, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I have no problem drafting 3 or 4, and it's based on the type of kicker and what team and all that. But you have to think about it in the context of that 3.3. If you can get a guy that is going to be putting up at least the team scoring 21 points a game, you're scoring, what is that? 3.3 is roughly 11 points a game.
But yeah.
Well, am I right on numbers or close
No,
to
it's
it?
10.
10?
It's 10,
Whatever.
but yeah.
You're in double digits though. You're in double digits, for scoring for that particular guy, and that 10 points could be better than a running back 3 that you have sitting on your bench for, essentially. And their floor is a lot higher than a lot of these running backs. Just, but it's all unknown but I like aiming for guys that are going to be kicking indoors all, throughout the season and that are actually on good teams, which is rare to find.
This was my favorite comment. The downside is you have to use MFL.
Oh,
So
right,
basically
enough
evens it out. So I'm in complete agreement with Josh here.
Josh, I'm gonna try to kick the slander here. I've been using MFL for like the last 6 years in my Dynasty salary cap league. I
Classic
absolutely
Mike.
love it. It's simple. It's archaic, but it's simple. It doesn't do anything outside the normal. It's not colorful like this. Like, it doesn't need to be. It just needs to work.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Hold on, Mike. Hold on. You might have just omitted this before, but you do a Dynasty salary cap league? I might have missed that earlier. Oh,
I love my Dynasty salary cap league. It's probably one of my favorites that I play.
Let's go, classic Mike.
I love it.
See, it fits him so well.
It truly does.
You did like a 12 team league type of deal, 14, 16.
It's a 10-team league, 25 players per roster, 250 million. We use million for the contracts, so they count as contracts essentially. You start off the league by auction draft, so whatever your price is the player's cost for what you're for the league and for that year. So you have to kind of, in the beginning when we did this, we weren't aware of that, and a lot of people bid really high on people. So it's starting to level off after its 6th year. But it is one of those scenarios that it's just fun. Like I have Josh Allen at $5. I have Cooper Kupp at $5. I have five really decent tight ends: Evan Ingram, Waller, Schultz, Knox, and I think that's it. But they're all under $7. Like, I have Barkley under 20 or under 30. I have Henry at 22, Jonathan Taylor at 22. I could go on and on. But my point is that it's fun trying to figure out what you want to do and how it goes. And it makes trading a pain in the ass. Like I put in an offer for the 102. I am the one. Let me refresh. I am the 102, and I put in a trade offer to a friend of mine that has Deontay Johnson for $5.
Mm-hmm.
And he also has Jawan Dotson for 10. So I put in a trade for the 102, the 202, and Darren Waller at $7, I think it is, $5, I think he is, for those two players, Deontay and Dotson. So everyone can look at that and be like, are you freaking crazy? Like, why would you spend Gibbs on that? But when you're drafting, Gibbs is $16 or $17. Do you really want to pay $17 for Gibbs comparatively to a Deontay Johnson? And I need a little bit more depth at wide receiver. I have Barkley, Chubb, JT, and Henry currently as my running backs. I'm pretty set at running back. I don't really, I'd rather have Gibbs, but I don't want to pay $17 for JSN. I have to think in that particular mindset. So, it's a very different league than a lot of people's. I love that aspect of it, that it's just so different, just so much fun. I just love it. So.
Yeah, no, likewise. I mean, so you have a free agency, right? Like these guys and that their contracts end up expiring, and then you guys can auction bid on them again, or no?
Every year the price increases by you get basically it can either increase or it increases by 10% or $1, whatever's more. So if it's like the guys at like $2 go up like to 3, 4, 5, 6, and it goes up every year. But the guys over, I think it's 15, will start jumping like $2, and then it goes.
You're up, by the way. I don't know if you know that.
No, I knew.
Oh, okay.
He's a master at running out the clock. That's why we set the picks for as long as they are.
Oh,
Because we like to talk on this show just in case you didn't know. Just a little bit. But I go ahead, finish that off. Go ahead.
No, but the cool part is since you can keep guys forever, but if you end up dropping somebody, it basically.
Joe, come on.
I was gonna go with Herbert.
Running back on the board, man. I mean,
come on, Joe.
The problem is that for me, Herbert just doesn't work with the build that I have. So, it would have been one of us. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, if you drop a player, their salary automatically gets depleted, and then we have to bid for that player, and whatever the bid is becomes the player's contract. So I could have, let's just say I had Barkley at $29. If I drop him, everyone can bid on him, and whatever his bid, let's just say someone bids $40 on him, he's now $40.
Gotcha.
But you can even do that before the draft as well. So if I have the 102 and I know the 101 guy doesn't need anybody, and usually you want to do this if you have the 101, but if you have a guy that's like $50, $60 in salary, you drop the guy and pick him up for it's the average value. So you're able to draft free agent guys as well, which is kind of cool. And it's all based on price. So it's all average of their auction price. So it could be, like Marvin Jones I have for $10. He could be $1. I could essentially drop him and pick him up for $1. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I mean, I know, Joe, you can attest to it too, but I mean, that league is just so much fun.
You guys have that?
Not exactly like you do. We actually have like contracts. So like, I was trying to think of a player off the top of my head that I have. Like I have like Hunter Renfrow like on a 3-year contract for a certain amount of money, and then once it expires, he goes to free agency. So and then people can bid on him. But cool. Joe, what do you think of the format?
Hammer, that's awesome, man. That's
it's probably become definitely my favorite league that we do, Steve. Honestly, it's super fun, super active. We have a ton of trading and involved, and then I feel like just the salary cap and contract that we have just forces player movement, which is always fun as well.
Okay, that's the big thing is the player movement. It really does force you to do it. Whereas in a traditional dynasty league, you can just hold on to these players for forever if you wanted to.
No, I get it, and the contracts are a big part of it. Like our keeper league, we have a 2-year keeper cap on it, so you get the player at the value for 2 years only. We had situations prior to that where like I had Jimmy Graham in the 15th round from his like rookie year for the first or for like 7 years, like at that value. Like I just kept Jimmy Graham every year. So we got to a point where it just was out of hand and people were complaining about not having the same players because everyone just kept, keeping the same guys because they had good value for a while. So we decided, you know what, let's change it up. Let's make it where you only get a 2-year cap on the guy. Even if you trade the guy and whatever, 2-year cap. Free agents are last round, and we went, that way. And it's worked out pretty well for the last like 6-7 years. There hasn't really been a issue. So I like that. I don't know if I can do that for Dynasty.
I'll let you guys continue. I'm sure all our people watching don't want to hear about your one league, but. I let you go on for like a good 8 minutes there, Classic, though. I mean, I was good, but we were losing viewers at that point. We've literally lost 4 people since you were talking. No, I'm just kidding. So Drunk Squidward says, I had a trade offer. I had someone offer me Bajan in exchange They wanted Geno Smith, either Khalil Herbert or Swift, and a 24 first and a 24 second. Would you do it? I'm thinking of doing it because it's Bijan. So basically Bijan for Geno and Herbert, Swift, plus a first and a second. Herbert or Swift with the first and the second.
I would definitely do that if I were them. I mean, Bijan, I hope I can get Bijan in Scott Fishbowl because I think Bijan has the opportunity to be the number one running back. I think because of his ability, he's a dual threat running back. He can obviously he runs the ball and he's a receiving threat. But then that Arthur Smith offense, it revolves around the running back. So to me, I the only wild card is, does Arthur Smith play games like he did with Kyle Pitts last year, and then like Tyler Algier is more of a prominent role than we think? That would be like the only like I can't believe this is happening moment. But they drafted Bijan in the top 10. Like I feel like they're gonna have to use him.
Now, do you guys think that Tyler Algier is going to get wrapped into all this? Like, do you think he's going to eat into Bijan a little bit based on the, do they want to burn him out or anything? Or do they want to kind of rest him a little bit, use him like CMC, more like a 60% than a, 80?
My thing is, I think they're going to phase him out of the offense almost entirely. I think he's just going to be used very sparingly. But what do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Algier, is a late round pick. I don't think they have the allegiance to him. Bijan was taken in the first round, and honestly, I see Bijan being used like Derrick Henry was in Tennessee when Arthur Smith was running the show there. So I don't really think he's going to cut in that much.
See, be very careful about that thought process. And this is, I'm only going to say this because this is how I have a very strong feeling with like guys like Kyle Pitts and stuff. So everyone kept saying Kyle Pitts because of Arthur Smith. Like, oh, it's going to be the same thing when he was in, with the Titans and Mariota and blah, 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 blah. Don't always hold that particular thought process for that. As much as I agree that I think he's going to be a heavily volumed guy, I think he's going to be closer to 70% of that offense comparatively to that 80 that people think he's going to be, but I do think that in turn they need to spell him. So I do like Algier, who just came off the board. I think he did really well for them last year. I don't see how they can phase him out. They have Patterson behind him. Patterson in his own right did well a couple of years ago, but he is on the older side of 30. Right at that midline. So it's one of those things where we might, I don't think they're going to just pound Bijan all the time. I think that they're going to basically, that they said something about that they're going to try to use more 2 running back sets, have him out wide and, have Algier behind center and
what?
That. Oh yeah. So
no, not you. I'm talking about Evan McPherson getting picked. Is that real?
Well, let's just be really clear. I was gonna go kicker here anyway.
Wow. Okay.
It's about that time.
It is about that time. Okay. This is I'm all right, Joe. It's about you need to start following through.
Well, and that's
while you guys are making your picks, I'll say you guys think the Falcons will still run a committee. Yeah. I think if they're smart, they would. And it's almost kind of like, I think it's the big reason why, just to try to involve more player names, since we are a fantasy show here. I think it's like Jacksonville drafting Tank Bigsby. You don't want ETN having 74% of the backfield like he did last year. Like, you want it to be closer to like a 60-40, and in this day and age, a 60-40 split absolutely constitutes pretty much a workhorse back, especially if he is getting the receiving work, which he definitely is. The thing is Algier did show, even with his 4.6 speed, he was real quick with it. He had a lot of explosive runs, so to speak. So it was a little interesting. But I think he's just that, not necessarily a 1B, but he's just a 2A in that backfield. I think he'll definitely see about 10 touches a game. Because you're not going to see or should really any running back in this day and age, unless you're Derrick Henry, be getting 25 plus carries a game, or even 20. Especially if you're getting some other catches. It's just that pounding. You don't want to take it. Plus, they're not competing yet, so if they want to be competitive, I think it would behoove them not to run him into the ground in the first year, just like the Cowboys did with Zeke.
Yeah, completely agree. And
So-
Josh is even saying I'm a Falcons fan, and I think that he'll have a bigger role. Algier, he had 1,000 yards as a backup, no need for to run Bijan into the dirt like Pitt did with Najee, which is a very true statement.
So I think that I'm curious then. So as far as snap share percentage, then you think so like the Ecklers, the Josh Jacobs, the Henrys, like you feel like that's
your
model
S
of
tier.
running back is not gonna that's fading. Is what you're saying.
Oh, that's
I
never
think
gonna
it's
happen.
fading, but when you have a guy who's like that, then absolutely give it to him.
Yeah.
And I think they can be smart. I just think it's being smarter. Don't
Agreed.
just run them up the middle. Like if you can design an explosive elite player like that in space, I think that's what the NFL is all about now, is creating space. And so versus just trying to pound it up the middle. And I mean, if your offense is good, and that's the other thing is, I don't think their offense is good enough for him to get 30 touches a game. They're not going to be, I don't think, in a situation where they can run that many plays. You don't want them getting 80% of the offensive touches, or the running back touches. Like, I just don't think that's,
I don't think it's conducive to help.
If you're trying to win long term, like, if you're trying to win now, like with Eckler and the Chargers, right? They were trying to win. Josh Jacobs, he was in a different situation, and Derrick Henry, he's just built different. There's those guys that come along from time to time, but
Henry is the exception to the rule because of how big he is and how much he can take.
He's like the LeBron, regardless of how you feel about LeBron. But he's just built for the long haul. No matter what it is, he's showed better than anyone else so far.
I'm a big supporter of Henry. The problem with Henry is the fact that as big as he is and as many hits as he takes, it will wear him down.
Doesn't take him. He gives him. Classic. He gives it. Nobody wants to tackle the guy. He's the one delivering the punishment, not taking it. He got popped once last year, and that was about it.
Yeah.
So if I'm hearing you guys correctly, then if I'm hearing you right,
wow, look at this kicker run.
You guys are probably, like, as far as like ADP goes, you're probably like very much down on the likes of like Tony Pollard and Nick Chubb. Would I be right about that?
No. Nick Chubb is like one. Like, I literally, if I can get Chubb on my team this year, I like him actually over Henry, over Jacobs, just because of the uncertainty with the offense. Is he going to report? Is he going to miss any games? My whole situation with my running back ones and wide receiver runs, I'm not trying to take like risk, kind of risk. Like, there's plenty of guys in that situation that have similar upside. I'm not trying to chase point fractions of points and add all this extra baggage. If there's a guy who I could feel reaches a similar ceiling without all the baggage, it's the Kupp versus Chase and Jefferson. That's why Kupp is going third, because he doesn't have all the baggage. If you're just lining them up in a row and like, hey, I want this best guy at their apex, obviously you're taking Kupp, right? But, I mean, it's hard with those three guys. They're all pretty good in their own right. But again, they have to go in a certain order. Oh man, I just got auto.
I guess why I say that is because my hearing is, when it comes to like Chubb and Pollard, is okay. With Pollard, Zeke is out of the picture, so he's going to get more usage. And then with the Browns, Hunt is gone, so Chubb is going to get more usage. But then I'm hearing from you guys that you shouldn't assume that, like, there's some other running back that's going to step in there, which I don't disagree with you on.
Oh, I'm a big Ford fan. Yeah, I'm a big Ford fan on top of that. Like, if I don't get Chubb, I love grabbing Ford late, just because, again, I think those 10 touches for the guy going that late, those 10 to 15 touches, or around 8 to 10 touches, is a okay little flex position to me.
I will say, like, for the Cowboys situation, Pollard's going to have Malik Davis, who's behind him. Malik Davis is not a horrible running back. He is actually pretty good, and he did well in the situations that he was put in last year. Also with Chubb, Ford is a very good option to take passes, with catching. But the thing is, they're trying to get Chubb more involved in that particular game too. He's in a situation where his contracts are going to be up next year. So, because they took didn't he take the 5th-year option this year? or the Browns
Who?
for Chubb. I feel like
that was a while back. They signed him to a contract. He wasn't even a first round player, so he wouldn't have gotten a 5th-year option.
Oh, that's right. It was a 4th year. So either way, he signed a deal. He's good to go. So I was going to say if he was at the end of something, they might just be trying to run him. But I guess I'm wrong in that thought process. But either way, I think that Chubb has the higher ceiling than most of the other guys, other than Jacobs and like Barkley. But that's if Barkley and Jacobs end up signing. Now we have until next week, Saturday, that we'll know if they're signing, a bigger deal, or if they end up going a different route, or holding out, or holding in, or whatever the hell they're doing these days.
Nice pick with Nico Collins, by the way. Really like that pick.
I am
We're Nico fans over here.
I'm a Nico supporter. I do like where I like his situation. I like Houston this year. As you can see, I already have their running back. I do like their team this year. I really think that D'Amico Ryans could make a difference for that team. I'm not saying that they're going to be like in the Super Bowl, but I do think that, they won't be the second pick, or the first pick this year. They're definitely going to have a little bit more, they'll probably get to 8-8, something like that. I think D'Amico Ryans has the ability to do that. I think Stroud is actually better than what people think. He should have went. I personally think he should have went to Carolina at the 101, but that's my own opinion. But
that's
other than
that, that's why I took him in the rookie draft that way.
Yeah, and Josh isn't wrong. I think Mechie and Schultz, everybody's going to get there. I think everyone's going to be involved. I think they're going to be a little more run heavy than pass heavy, to be fair. So Nico isn't a horrible option. He's just more of that wide receiver 3 guy that I really like, flex guy that can really he had a really good floor last year. That was my thing with him. Even with Brandon Cooks there, he still did well. So yes, they're going to be spreading the ball around. He still has, Bobby Trees there. He's got Mechie. He's got, who else does he have there? Quentin Hutchinson, Xavier Hutchinson, who they drafted. They have Schultz. They have everybody. So they have a really good group. They have a good line. I think that it's going to be an interesting group over there in Houston. So I figured why not have a little bit of stock in it. So
yeah, on Underdog right now, they got CJ Stroud set for the over-under at 20 passing touchdowns and 34.5 passing yards.
How many? 34?
20 passing touchdowns and 3,400 and a half.
That's
3,400 and a half passing yards. So
I like that line. I think that's a good line for him, to be honest. I think that's a reasonable,
they have Jalen Hurts at 3,550. So just to put that in perspective,
Jalen Hurts is at
3,550.
Wow.
They got Lamar Jackson at 3,500. They got Mac Jones at 3,250. Mahomes is like 5,000 and stuff, but yeah. So I'm just saying.
Not bad.
They got Justin Fields at 2,950. Over under also 20 passing touchdowns, 6.5 rushing.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So just kind of put that in perspective. So those, again, shout out to Underdog. Use that promo code GetRight if you go check it out. They've got their season long pick'em. You can check their over unders. It's kind of a good way to gauge in fantasy kind of what obviously the odds makers are thinking as far as what these guys' production is going to be. As far as any advice, of course, game responsibly. But I'm usually going for things that you could take the under on. So that's what I'm usually trying to find, are those ones where you could take the under. Because all it takes is a game or two for someone to miss, and you're hitting the under. So just keep that in mind. Promo code GetRight. Go sign up. All right. Had to get that little promo in there.
No, you're good. Josh still likes him, even though he...
I worked it in pretty well.
Even though he was, saying about his eating in, which is good. I understand that. A lot of people are low on him in general. We got Hammer going. Yeah,
they're going to be behind, so they're going to be throwing it a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of attempts.
So I don't know, man. That defense is better
maybe
than
they'll
what
run.
people think. I'm telling you. I think they're going to run and play defense. That's D'Amico Ryans, just how he was built and what he did in Philly.
49er way.
Yeah, and he was in Houston at one point. So I mean, it is what it is. Anyway, so we got Hammer going. Yeah, I think Ford gets a decent amount of touches to spell Chubb, keep him healthy. I agree. What else did we miss? Anything fun up here?
Drunk Squidwards said he kind of likes what Jackson. I think that was just in response to our split backfields.
So Colin was asking. Now he asked this a little while ago, so I apologize, Colin, for getting to it now. But it was in the 14th round asking, is it a little early for kickers? No, it is not.
Not then.
No. And I think people on Sleeper need to think about kicker a little bit earlier than MFL, just because of if you get that guy, you're going to have a really good kicker that is going to help you in situations. And then you don't even have to draft his potential replacement or bye week fill in if you must. Like, if you want to, you can, but you don't have to. It's definitely something though that you're looking for a roster spot to fill it. With MFL, you don't really have to. You can go with the strategy of not drafting a kicker because you don't need it. So
right.
That's just my thought process. I'm higher on kickers because I've said it 100 times. I think that they score the most points on the field. They essentially are the highest scorers at the end of the season. If you look at the numbers, they are, and they do.
Oh my, really, Face Man? You did me like that? I had it queued up. Everything I was gonna say. Nice. I was gonna tie it back to the Bijan whole backfield and the Tyler Algier, and it was Cordell Patterson. Man, can't forget about this guy. Love him in the late rounds. They might use him as that gadget kind of player, maybe around the red zone if they're there. Maybe he steals a couple designed touchdowns there. Just to show the love to the veteran on the field. But
I'm usually the one that gets sniped that bad to have that reaction. So this is
I was gonna say that got me good because I had I was like, as you were talking, I had everything. I still said it, but it didn't hit the same right there. Now I have to do this and add a response to get the little Baker Cade Houghton stat.
So Faceman is Zach Ernest here, and he said take him every draft. So it looks like Zach takes him every time, which is good. I take a lot of guys too that are the same guys, but I like certain guys for redraft that I'm still, that I want to be able to root for as well. So I always aim for a few guys that I like a lot.
Man, that was tough.
I don't want to hear it. I get sniped every show more than
that was usually I don't get sniped that bad, but that was a bad one. It's tough when it's late, like that, like where you like, oh yeah, no one's thinking of this guy, and then boom, right before you. That one.
Yeah. Well, I'm just glad people keep forgetting about this guy.
There you go. I was gonna pick him too, but I was just like, I'm not even going running back at that point because I wanted CPAT there. All right, so since Joe's making his pick, I'll ask Steve. Oh, I guess now he's on, so we'll go back to Joe. I like how that worked out there. So I want to ask, how'd you guys decide on your picks here at 8 and 9? So Joe, how'd you decide here on number 8?
Yeah,
number 8.
I was Steve and I were kind of going through who was running the different chats, who we wanted to kind of be a part of, and listen in on from that point of view, and then also just the divisions. Looking for somebody that we might know to go in with the division. I picked Portillo's because there's I think Jeff Mans is in that one.
Cool.
From the Sirius XM fantasy show. And so I listened to him a lot when I had XM in my car, so I figured I'd just try to compete against him in the division. So that's why I went with 8 and Portillo's.
That's really cool. I mean, we were lucky enough to have Howard Bender on our show last year. Real great guy in general.
Cool.
I'm excited to meet him. I'm going to the expo in August.
Us too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
nice.
Awesome. So I'll get to say
hi. I'm left out. I feel left out.
Oh man.
So
we just gave away a VIP ticket on our last show.
Ticket, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So I'm excited to get to see Howard in person and a bunch of other guys that are going to be there too. So I'm excited about that as well. So we got Drunk going. Yo, Mike, I traded Wan'Dale Robinson away in a trade package. Was it a mistake to trade him? I don't see him being the number 1 or number 2 Giants running a spread, looking to spread the ball.
Well done. Well done, John.
Yeah, I think you're fine. I like Wandell. I really do. I think that I think he is the Kadarius Toney that we were looking for. Just the cheaper value, not Kadarius Toney, just based on if you saw some things today. But I think that he could develop into a really good player with the skill set. I think that next year, I think Shepard's gone. I think Shepard is going to stay on as a coach. He's definitely a coach. A lot of guys talk him up as being probably one. He's like Josh McCown in the context of, just that guy. So I see him staying on and being that type of role. So after that, Hodges is on a no-year deal. So I do think that Wandell is going to do well, and he's going to be there for a few years. I'm just I don't like the small wide receivers. They just don't profile well, and they don't last long. So I prefer looking for a little bit more upside, a little bit more with my guys. I mean, I'm going to pick him right here. So it's kind of hard to, well, actually, no, I'm going to go with his counterpart.
No. I was going to say, you better not.
I wanted Hodges. I like Hodges.
I was like, you better not. I already have him queued up and everything.
In real life, I like Hodges more. Like just in real football. In fantasy, it's a little different. But Campbell, I like a little bit more for fantasy. Just because they're going to use him more in the slot than they would anywhere else. Hodges is going to be more the X receiver. Wandell is going to be probably, mixed into this whole group, and then Slayton on the outside. So I think Wandell is going to just be mediocre. So I don't really see a high ceiling for him. So trading him away, not a bad option.
There you go. I'll ask you guys, since you guys were just releasing your wide receiver tiers, make sure you guys go check them out on the Front Office Pros over there. Little plug. You see how I do that?
I like that, Rasta. I like
you
that.
See that? You see that? So
right when it's going to be him.
There it is. Well, I had to get it in there. Well, because I'm going to throw it to them. So why don't you guys tell me, where'd you guys have him ranked, and do you think this was a good move here by Squidward?
Well, I didn't have one. It was so. Joe's got his own rankings. I went ahead. Those are more my rankings that he was reacting to. I did not have Wandell Robinson in my top 50. So,
okay,
which is what I did for that. Is he in your top, either of your top 50s? If you've done rankings,
yeah.
I haven't done rankings yet. I'm waiting for Scott Fishbowl to be over to start even thinking of my particular one. Just because it's a different formatting. I want to be able to change my, change my
viewpoint. Yeah.
So I'll probably have it, but on the spot, no, I don't think he would probably be in my top group. I think Paris. I think that it has to go Paris. If I'm ranking giant receivers, it's for fantasy. It's probably going to be Paris, Waller, of course, in there as well. Hodges, Slayton, Hyatt thrown in there. Hyatt's going to be very hard in redraft. For this league, he's definitely a hot commodity just because he has so much upside. See, Squidward, I
have him at 68 right now.
68? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even look yet.
Right behind Allen Robinson.
Oh. Ew.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
Me and
I could probably move these guys a little even farther down.
I
gotta update these now.
We have words from last year, so I don't like him.
You'll be able to find our rankings soon at www.getrightff.com. Make sure you check it out. We have our rankings there, and you'll be able to come snipe us all the time because you'll see where we have our guys ranked and who we like and who we don't like.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody, and I hope nobody that's in my leagues are watching.
Yeah.
Oh, classic Mike. You gotta be kidding me.
Let's go.
He was way down the board. I thought I would be. Yeah. Oh, come on.
I have an affinity.
Nice. He does.
Terrace Marshall. This is
Oh,
why you had to watch the show prior. No, I'm kidding.
classic Mike.
I have an affinity for Terrace Marshall because all the things that I heard when he came out as a rookie, I was really high on him, and I was really pumped to see what he could do. And then he pooped the bed for the first 2 years that he's been there. And then he finally gets to a point where everybody leaves, like, DJ Moore. And now he has the ability to be somebody, but he does have Adam Thielen and Chark ahead of him in a way. So it is, it's just a good little late grab. But I do think he has a path to do well. I think he has the pedigree to do well as well. He was teamed up with Chase and essentially did better than Chase at, when they were both on the field at some points. And, Joe Burrow was the one throwing him the ball. I mean, if Bryce Young is what everyone says he is based on, all the stats and all the things that, people keep saying, he could do very well with Bryce Young. So I'm willing to take the stab at him.
Yeah,
Right,
no,
so
I like him too. I think I actually had him really high in my rookie draft. I was a big believer in his. And then I drafted him. He was horrible, which I think partially was due to Matt Rule. I feel I have much stronger confidence in Frank Reich, kind of because I think he is a talented player. I just don't think I think that offensive staff could really help him. But you said it is a crowded group, so we'll see what happens. And as far as Wandell goes, I'll finish that thought, and I'll be curious what you think, Joe. But I actually wasn't high on Wandell as a prospect. I thought he was going to be more of a gadget guy, just based on, he's definitely a smaller receiver. And what he was using in Kentucky, I didn't think he was going to be an every down receiver, but he actually surprised me how well he did. But I'm not. Maybe I just have a bias against him, but I'm not really a fan of his. From a dynasty perspective, I'd probably be most interested in Hyatt, to be honest with you. Campbell can't stay healthy. Hodgins is interesting. I don't know if he can continue with what he did last year. But what do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I think Wandell is, he's interesting, but he's a guy that I'd probably stay away from just because of his, injury risk. And like Steve said, I do kind of see him as that gadget guy as well. And the Giants really just have they don't really have any stud receivers. They just kind of got a lot of pieces, and I'm not sure how they're going to use them all.
No, you're not wrong. That's how I feel. I mean, I think that they have a good group of receivers that they can interchange everywhere that they have. I mean, even on the list is Crowder. They all kind of fit that slot receiver. Which is fine. They do have Slayton and they do have, Hodges on the outside. They do have other guys that are on the roster as well, like Colin Johnson, who's coming back, but he's coming back from an ACL. So, all these things are in place. It's just really waiting to see how the pieces fall. The biggest puzzle piece is Saquon Barkley. So we have to wait and see how that plays out overall. And, because we're going to want to see if it's going to be guys like Eric Gray, who just went off the board, and Matt Breida being the the running backs for this particular team. So
Barkley doesn't sign, you'll have like Cook or Fournette or one.
Yeah, well, we'll see because Cook could
Kareem
be signed.
Hunt.
Yeah, probably. We'll
Combination
see.
of the two.
So
you don't think Saquon signs, guys?
It's right now. I don't know, man. I'm so
wow.
I have to be a little biased.
He has to, right?
Like I want Saquon to sign, so it's one of those scenarios where
if Lamar signs, Saquon signing. I just put it that way. There's not even as much close to as much drama as there was with Lamar.
No, there is, because both
take it from
Jacobs
you.
and Barkley are looking for which one is going to blink first. And they're both waiting for a contract to come through. Now, they have until
and
next
their leverage is also sitting with Cook and Hunt and all those guys. Until those guys sign, they have no leverage. Well, because the team could just be like, we'll just go get one of these guys.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. Why would you want to put your money into something like that when you already have essentially your money into
because
Barkley?
It's money. That's why. It's just
the whole point is.
Don't get me wrong, I would sign him. I don't know what they're waiting for, but
what Barkley should be doing, I personally just want him to sign the tender so that he can at least get his franchise tag and then go into next season and have that conversation next year, because I understand money's money, and I know that you're trying to get paid, but he made a good point. When you franchise tag the top 2 people, how are you like? There's no market. Like there's really no market other than CMC. So you pretty much you can't really do anything about that. So it's going to be I think he's trying to make a point, but I think they offered him a $14 million annual contract.
And he wants it more on like 16.
He's
18?
aiming more towards CMC, and that's a 16. So I think honestly, meet in the middle, go at 15 and just give up. But I think Sean has shown that he is not going to deal at all. Like he's not going to put up with your bullshit. He's going to be like, nope.
Sorry, I'm going to cut you off for this. Alan, new subscriber. Appreciate it.
Alan?
Love bringing the boys in here. Make sure you go in the description and follow those guys down there in the description as well. We love the Dynasty Focus. We love Redraft. We do it all here at the Get Right Fantasy Network. And make sure you guys check out these guys over here too on the Front Office Pros. So links in the description. Go subscribe to them too, man. All right.
I'll get off Saquon for a minute because we have questions like from Josh. So how do you guys feel about Purdy, Lance, QB situation? Lance, obviously, the ceiling play, Purdy, the floor. So, Joe, what do you think about that particular situation in San Francisco? We have just to be very clear, Ross. I
was going to say, it's about to get heated in here.
Fan. So just just give us how you feel.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a tough situation there, but I think I'm a Purdy guy. I like Purdy, given as long as he recovers from the shoulder injury, I think they should roll with him. And, I think what's best at this point with Lance for the 49ers and the rest of the fantasy community is if they just trade him at this point. I'm not really sure what they're going to do. He hasn't been healthy. We haven't seen enough from him. I don't know what they'd get, but I think the 49ers and Lance need a fresh start.
It's going to happen what happened with Jimmy Garoppolo. He's going to be practicing on the side field. Purdy's going to get hurt. Sam Darnold's going to get hurt. And then Trey Lance going to come in and take us to the Super Bowl.
And he's going to get hurt.
I've already seen this story before.
Oh, boy.
Steve, what do you think?
It's interesting. Joe probably laughed because I've definitely had my melodrama when it comes to Lance. I was a huge Lance fan, drafted Lance in the first round in our Dynasty League rookie draft. And I like Lance. I think he has great potential. And with that offense, it's super friendly. I think I traded him away recently. So that tells you I've finally come to terms that I think the team wants to go with Purdy. I think it's the wrong decision. I think that they should be rolling with Lance. They've only seen maybe 3 games of Lance playing, and
less than one.
Yeah, I mean, you move heaven and earth to get him, and he's got all that talent, and then you go with Purdy. I understand Purdy did play well. We'll see how he recovers with the UCL. So I don't know. I mean, the thing is with Purdy from a fantasy standpoint, he's just a glorified game manager. What is he really gonna he's never gonna be a QB1.
But that's all you need for that San Francisco offense.
He's like a cheap Jimmy G.
He is a cheaper. You are completely right, Rasta. He is a cheaper Jimmy G. He is,
and we got to the Super Bowl with that. We're good.
And that's the whole point. All you need is somebody to dink and dunk off on the West Coast offense. That could be the short intermediate routes and that occasional 9 route that opens up the field for a guy like Ayuk or Samuel or whoever you want to throw out, or Kittle. So I'm in the Purdy park. I like Purdy. Rasta, you're more of a Lance, but I think that's more fantasy driven.
No, not even. I plead the fifth when it comes to making this decision. My whole thing is I don't think we can come to a conclusion because we haven't seen enough or got enough evidence to determine whether he can play football or not. He literally didn't play in college. He played 4 games for us. One of them, like Tycoon said last week, was in a monsoon. We can't judge him yet. We got to see him play football healthy and see what happens. If Purdy took us that far, who knows how far Lance could have took us as well. I love seeing the 49ers taking deep shots down the field. I haven't seen the ball, travel that far, it seems like, in so long. In the preseason, he's dropping, bombs to Debo and Ayuk, and our fourth and fifth string guys, in the preseason, and it was a sight for sore eyes. I mean, granted, obviously, by all the injuries, us getting CMC, I'm glad that happened how it did. But I think we have an opportunity, and I think Shanahan doesn't care one way or another. So just like the situation on, everyone thought for sure Jimmy G was going to be traded last year, and he sure enough stayed with us and ended up starting games and getting us crucial wins. So at this point, I don't try to predict this stuff. When it comes time, whoever's on the field, that's who I'm rooting for. If he gets traded, then I'll see how it is. I'm obviously a fan of fantasy, so I'll be following, what he does. But you just got to show me, I got to see it. And I want to see him get an opportunity, I want to see him get the opportunity to see if it's yay or nay, and we'll go from there.
So I wanted to answer Colin's question real quick because he's been sticking through and waiting. Are there return points for return yard or points for return yards? No, there is not. It is as much as he wants that in there. There is only for the touchdown. So if you get a
return
touchdown, you get the touchdown on the return. But that's it. You don't get the yardage with it. So
and I did drop the link there, Colin, for you for the Scott Fishbowl rules. Make sure you go check it out. Make sure you signed up for Scott Fishbowl 14 right now. Go get in that Underdog again. Use that promo code Discord.
You don't
use that promo code Get Right, because then you can get in that satellite. Yeah, get in that satellite tournament. It's almost filled, $5. And if you place in the top in there, then you'll get your invite for SFB14. You'll win it right out of the gate. So
they're like 95% filled. You better get in there now. And also with the Scotty Fish, if you're doing Scotty Fishbowl, if you're signed up for 14, they are doing mirror leagues as well. So they have other leagues to try to get into Scotty Fish next year. So definitely go on to scottyfish.com or Scott Fishbowl and make sure you guys are, signing up for those leagues. And they're basically, they're not a part of the whole, rigmarole of what we're in, but it is a mirror of the scoring and the platform, the whole thing. So go in, get it. I don't want to say it. I forgot what platform it's on. Just go in there, look for satellite, and they'll or mirror league or whatever it's called in there, and they'll hook you up.
That's why I just direct them. They'll figure it out. They know how to click around on websites. Classic. They're good.
Yeah. Well,
they're good. They're good.
Sometimes we gotta help. So
yeah, that's what we're here for, and that's what it's all about, man. We're here for charity at the end of the day. So just make sure you get involved. You get to meet great people here, like Joe and Steve, man, and be able to have them come on the show. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you guys here, man. I do want to take a second here because Colin's been asking, and we kind of do it as well. Kind of our little thing. We like to kind of go through, take a look at the draft board, and why don't you pick out a team here that you feel that you want to say got it right, or maybe a team that you felt got it wrong. So, we're here on Get Right Fantasy. Tell me something they got right or got wrong. So I'll start with you, Classic, since you're a veteran to this. You know what you're doing, and I'm sure you've been eyeballing these teams already. So why don't you point out something you like here?
You know what? I'll start off with one of the got wrongs, just because we were talking about this before, and I'll defend our guests here with going with a guy like Kincaid as your tight end one for Josh here. I don't think he will be that guy. I know that if anything, you probably grab him just to kind of, go off, kind of piss him off a little bit, which is fine. And I would do it too if I was the one saying it. But I think that as much as I think that Kincaid is going to be a good,
I agree,
tight end, right. I think that he is definitely somebody that you could wait on and have more as your tight end too. So I think that, you could have went with someone like Njoku or Freiermuth or Chig just to make things a little bit better for you moving forward. But with him as your tight end one, it's a little much. Hey man,
he's encouraging the constructive criticism. He wants it.
Hey, otherwise
he wants all that smoke. He's like, meet him in the parking lot. Classic.
I mean, I will give you credit for the Juwan Johnson pick. I think that's going to be a really good late round tight end for a lot of people because, tight end is kind of the big focus here. So, since you put
super tight end premium. Don't
And
forget
you-
that, Colin. Super tight end premium. 2 points per first down, 2 points per reception.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you don't, like you said, if you end up punting, I end up, and if this is the case for you, I normally
It's supposed to be quick, classic. But go ahead.
I aim for Evan Ingram.
I'm just letting you know.
I'm giving them more time to look at their teams that they want to say.
Fair enough.
So
Fair
anyway.
enough.
So Evan Ingram would probably be where that tier would be for me, where I would then punt tight end. So if that was the case in this case, I would have probably done the same thing you did. Otherwise, I like the team. I don't hate any pieces of this. I pretty much like everybody else on this group except for Bateman. I'm not a big fan of Bateman. I think people think that he's going to recover quicker than what is being said. So just I would avoid, but that's me. All right. So boys, it's your turn.
This is wide receiver 5 in the 11th round, man. It's so hard.
I don't care.
Brutal. All right, who'd you throw to? Who'd you throw to?
Joe, let's start with you. Get right. Something that someone got right, something got wrong. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd say, team one, I'm not really in love with the running backs I ended up with, with Swift as our RB1. As a Broncos fans, I'm a little concerned about Javonte Williams and how quick he's going to recover there. So,
you and me both.
Having him as his RB2 and then having, A-Chain and Jalen Warren to spell it, I think that running back room's a little tough.
Well,
we'll point it out.
Can I take a quick second? Because I didn't think of this until now. So
it's your show, Classic. Go ahead.
So you don't. There's been a lot of news with him recently. Understood that he had the same injury as J.K. Dobbins. He had a lot of. He tore everything. But his recovery has actually been above board. Like he's actually 4 months ahead of schedule from what they keep saying. That he is pretty much ahead now. I understand it's it's a lot of rumored and blah 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 blah.
It's called hyperbole.
I agree.
There's a word for it.
Well, then
that's why it exists.
So, are you believing the hype, or is it some? I'm assuming you're not. I'm assuming that P. Ryan's their guy. Run with him until further notice.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to believe the hype, and I truly hope that he's that far ahead of schedule. I know he's been kind of practicing and whatnot through these mini camps and everything, but I think there's a reason they went out and made it a point to get a guy like Samaje Perine, tell him that he had a big role, give him the 2 years, $7 million. So I know they're saying all the right things. I'm hoping that's the case, but I'm definitely nervous about him. Especially given how J.K. Dobbins did last year and how long it took him to be right. And I feel like the Ravens kind of rushed him back. Wasn't right. He goes back on, the IR and then only to bring him back in for the last few games. And he starts to kind of look like himself.
Okay.
Preach, Saquon. Keep going. Just keep naming people. Everybody but Adrian Peterson.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. I mean, it takes a long time to recover from it. I mean, he had more than the ACL, surgery. So there's definitely a lot more that he has to recover from. But no, that's fine. I agree with you. I think that it's going to take a little more time for him to ease in as well. Hamstring injuries are the big thing, and that usually knocks you out for 4 to 6 weeks anyway. So
I guess cool. I guess the real test will come if the Broncos are rumored to be in Delvin Cook. If they end up getting Delvin Cook,
no. They ended up saying that they were no longer a part of the whole thing. It's right now. It's believe me, I've been keeping a close eye on Dalvin Cook because I like Dalvin Cook as a player. Everyone gives him a bad rap. Honestly, I think right now it's down to Miami and the Jets. I think that they want to have a little bit more behind. I don't think they're really happy with what they have in camp currently with Carter and Israel. I can't say his name.
Abanikanda.
There we go. Abanikanda. So I think that
That's why we're partners. Classic. That's why we're partners.
Yeah, you get the names. I just kind of rattle off something until you get to it. So I think that they're looking to probably invest, maybe not as much as he's looking for, but I think right now, I think he's aiming for those areas comparatively to something like Denver, because Denver already kind of pulled their hat out of the ring. Not to say that maybe they kind of put their hat back in at one point if they feel the necessary need, but I don't see it. So you gave us something wrong. So Steve, what do you have?
Get right or get wrong?
For the wrong?
Well, either
Let's go.
or.
Either one.
I got both.
Or both.
I'm prepared.
Let's
Ooh,
go. Let's
good.
go. I like it. He's going to stage 2 guest now.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I feel bad. So no offense to who.
Oh, there's no offense here.
Don't ever feel bad.
There's no offense here.
Well, I'm gonna blast. I really don't like this team.
That's fine.
As long as it's not mine, we're good. No,
That's fine.
I actually agree with Joe. It's the Face Man's team.
Okay.
For me as well. I don't really like. So I don't like taking Jalen Hurts when you could have taken Mahomes or Allen, or even I could even see Kelsey making some sense.
Okay.
It's the 0.25 per carry
carry
argument.
Yeah.
There's a whole thing going on with him at the 101. But yeah.
Okay, I see that. Okay, but what I don't like, and Joe would know this, but I don't like Deebo Samuel. I don't like Drake London. I don't like Mike Evans. I don't like Mark Andrews. I don't like Swift. I don't like Williams.
You basically just hate this whole team.
The whole team. Yeah. I don't like Daniel Jones either. So
Let's go.
Yeah, so I don't like. I mean, other than Garrett, I love Garrett Wilson, and I think Gabe Davis is interesting. But other than that, and I really like Gesicki late. I think he's a sneaky sleeper.
I love Gesicki.
But I just not feeling this team. I could be wrong, but just I do not like it.
Face man, taking it in the face, living up to his name.
Yeah, and then
Let's
the team
go,
I like
man.
the best, I couldn't really find one that I absolutely loved. I actually really did like, believe it or not, I did like Joe's team and Classic Mike's team, but my favorite was probably RV's team.
Okay.
I like what he did with Mahomes and Anthony Richardson, and with Kyler late. I think that's kind of interesting. So I like that pairing in the quarterbacks. I just think he's got an all-around good team. I mean, he's got I like Tony as an upside pick. I said you have to have an upside pick in order to really do well. If Tony really takes that step like they think he could, I really like that a lot. Taylor and Breece Hall, I think they're solid. Allen Pittman, solid. So I really like what he did. So that would be and even though he just has Higbee as his tight end, I do think Musgrave is a very interesting upside pick.
Yeah, I like Everett too, so I don't mind his. I actually like his other two tight ends better than Higbee.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. So Josh is going in and asking this question. So he's curious about your thoughts on Andrews. So Monken runs the 12 personnel, at UGA. Andrews and likely will be a major factor and a better offense since they dumped Roman recently. They're going to be basically two wide, two tight end. So what's the reasoning behind your?
Yeah, that's interesting. I actually didn't know that about the 50% at UGA. But my biggest, and that's good news for likely. But I think the biggest reason for me is if that offense is going to change like they say it is, and the investment of Odell Beckham, Zay Flowers, Bateman gets healthy, I think the reason why Mark Andrews has been so good is because of his volume and the targets that he's been able to garner.
Okay.
I'm not so sure that he's going to continue with that if in fact the offenses are really going to change, because really you think about over these past 2 years, they haven't had a wide receiver one. So
okay.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I definitely think it's great news for Likely. Yeah. When it comes to, and who knows, I think Likely's a very talented player as well. So
I wonder if they kept Josh Oliver, because he's another tight end that they've been rotating in and out. They definitely have a ton of weapons. I like Andrews a little more. He's definitely not going to be tight end one. I mean, Kelsey's just he steals that. But I understand what you're saying overall. I just don't trust the wide receivers in Baltimore other than Zay Flowers. I think that's, Odell is a very talented receiver in his own right, but until you prove that you can play more than 16 games, yeah. sorry, you haven't played in probably the last 2 years, roughly, consistently, so. All right. So Joe, what's it? You gave us a wrong. Did you have a right? Did you have anything that someone did right?
Trying to
Could be a
think
team. It could be a
It could be a
specific
team
pick.
format. It could be a way that they made
build.
their team.
Yeah, it's not limited to just the overall team.
Oh yeah, we don't care about just the team.
Yeah, honestly, kind of going off that running back strategy, I really like what Team 12 was able to do with their 3 backs. I mean, get Eckler, Chubb, and Henry. I think, those will play great here in the Scott Fish Bowl.
Brutal.
Okay.
Very nice.
I just hate the wide receiver group that you have to play with as your, I don't really. Everyone else is a little higher on Godwin for being an RB1 for that tier. I don't see it personally. I think he's more like a 2 or a 1 or a 2 or like I'd say a low end 2, in my opinion. Burks, we don't know. Hopkins could be on the Titans, so you might screw yourself here, but Hopkins, we'll see. Maybe he's on a team before it gets that pick. Brandon Cooks, I'm fine with. I don't mind him. The rest is, whatever. But yeah, you're pretty much killing it right here with the running backs. So what about you, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, the wide receiver group on that team is pretty rough, but that's kind of
it's
to
just
be
the
expected.
opposite. It's the opposite of face man, in my opinion. It's just the opposite with the grouping of, the position. I don't mind Carr. I don't mind Stafford. It's more just the, that. So what about you, Rasta?
I'll say something that we got right here. I think Josh here, JWN71, here in the 6th spot with Herbert, Hill, Pollard, Olave, Russ. I think he has a bounce back this year. Miles Sanders, basically 6 picks that I can't argue with at all right out of the gate. I think that's a nice, solid start. Definitely some upside here with Pacheco. Not quite sure exactly how that, what that position will yield here in fantasy. But definitely, obviously, an important role in the real Chiefs backfield. And then love the value here with Lockett. I'm a big fan of Addison. I love B-Rob. Garoppolo's, whatever, but where he got him, I think, is the right spot. Definitely gets, nice pick here with Schultz. I got CJ Stroud. I was hoping Schultz came back to me here so I can get that stack. And then I'm okay with Myers, especially because he stacks him with Garoppolo. And then the rest of this is kind of whatever, by the time we get to the rest of these rounds. But I just think it's a nice, solid core. Just overall, one thing as far as just kind of little PSA on Scott Fish Bowl, because we're drafting so early, I don't really like taking chances on guys that we don't know what their situation's going to be like. I mean, of course, if they fall to the right value, I'll take them. Like I think where you got Kamara Classic was pretty good value for his potential upside, especially if it lingers on and he, doesn't even get suspended again this year.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like same thing with Kyler in the 8th, like Brees, in the 3rd, like again, like you guys mentioned with the Williams pick as your RB2. Just taking that kind of, I guess I understand the upside risk, and if you're not first, you're last. But I at least want to give myself an opportunity each week to, at least have the highest score by having people who are going to be playing football. So,
Agreed.
That's just my little 2 cents, and kind of something I'm trying to take into this year is mitigating my risk early and take my risk late so it doesn't hurt me if it doesn't pan out.
No, for sure. So we got Hammer with a question. So since I took him, I will ask thoughts on Taysom Hill this season. So I'll throw this to Joe. I don't know your thoughts on Taysom as a whole. I'm a big fan of Taysom Hill. I've always been a fan. Rasta knows how much I love him as just even a player. How do you feel about him especially for this type of format?
Yeah, I guess with this format, he definitely has some value with that extra, 0.25 per carry, because that's mostly what he does.
Yep.
When he gets his opportunities, I think he still could have some opportunities along the goal line, and I definitely think he's a guy. They're not going to stop using him, so I think he has a role. I'm not the biggest Taysom Hill fan, but I think it makes sense for this format.
Okay. What about you, Steve?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of his. I think they're going to phase him out. I think when they didn't have an established quarterback, it was one thing, but now that Derek Carr is there, I think he's going to Taysom Hill got those direct snaps at quarterback and then ran in. So maybe it's a goal line package, but then they bring in Jamal Williams, who we know he had a ton of touchdowns. So
Fair.
he's not going to line up at tight end. They've got there's going to be Juwan Johnson. So it's just you got Carr, you got Jamal Williams. I just don't see. And plus, I think Peyton's the more innovative coach. No offense to Dennis Allen, but I just don't think that Allen's going to use him as a chess piece like Sean Payton did. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm pretty. I wouldn't even take him. I see the upside pick, but to me, I'm fading him.
Well, that's fair. I mean, the OC there is a disciple of Sean Payton, so it's one of those. I see both sides of the coin. You gave the perfect argument for him not to be, and Joe, you gave him a good, the perfect argument to be. I like both situations. I think he's very gadgety, so he's more of a risk, but he is definitely somebody that you can plug in if needed on a week that you just need something.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be way more likely to have him in a best ball format, but this isn't best ball. So you can play him at tight end, and there may be one or two games where he goes absolutely off. But the question is, did you pick the one or two games that you were supposed to put him in? If not, he could give you an absolute donut.
Yeah, he has the lowest floor that you can have, and it could be 0. So I completely agree. It's definitely a very hard, situation. What about you, Ross? You like him at all?
I mean, not really someone I find myself taking a lot. If I am grabbing someone, it's going to be Juwan Johnson. I just like your prototypical kind of players in those spot, most of the time. So he's just never really at a spot where I'm willing to take him. I have certain, other guys that I'm targeting this year. It may or may not work, but again, that's why I picked the 102 because I wanted that opportunity at Kelsey, and if I didn't get Kelsey, I want Mahomes. So to me, it was the best of both worlds. So I'll take the 2 spot and see what happens.
Cool beans.
And not have to worry about tight end for rounds and rounds. Then I'm not in that situation. My tight end 2 will be fine.
Do you think, Ross, real quick there, do you think that because of the tight end settings that you'll see more teams playing tight end in the flex?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think teams are going to be coming off the board with 3 or 4 tight ends.
Now, whether you have the cojones to start them every week when they can get you literally 2 for 40 and no first downs and score you basically nothing, we'll see what happens. But that's the fun of it, is the flexibility that it brings. So,
or you can pick.
Ron, you're still giving me stuff to get Brian. Man,
yeah, still giving you.
It's a new year, man. It's a new year, and I still think he's okay though. I still think he's okay. Yeah, he didn't turn out to be like Derrick Henry or anything, but hey, that's all right.
Yeah.
He's still my guy. Still rooting for him. That's funny. All right, man. Well, I think we kept these guys, man, long enough.
Yeah.
I just want to say thanks, man. I really appreciate you guys putting up with us.
Yeah,
I know people say we're like an old married couple over here. We've been doing this thing for 3 years, but it's been a lot of fun, man. So again, just congratulations to you guys. Want to give you guys kind of the floor right now. We'll give you guys an opportunity to tell our viewers who you guys are. Again, nice, and what you guys got going on and what the plans are for the future. So go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, definitely. So, you can follow myself at Steve_FOP. We also have our Front Office Pros Twitter channel or Twitter profile. I guess you can follow that as well. And then we have our YouTube channel, Front Office Pros. We've been doing videos since last August. We try to do at least 2 or 3 videos a week, sometimes more. And then we're also on Apple and Spotify podcasts. We're currently looking to hopefully have a website here pretty soon to have our rankings and stuff. So trying to get that rolling. But I'll kick it over to Joe to promote himself.
Yeah,
there you go.
Obviously I'm working on the same things as Steve here, but you can give me a follow over on Twitter at Joe_FOP.
Very cool.
Very cool.
You guys are. I keep getting alerts all day long. I be getting, and you guys are pushing content and doing that. You guys should really be proud of yourselves. You guys are doing a great job over there. So make sure you guys check him out. Make sure you guys give him a subscribe and follow as well. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else that we need to talk about? Anyone else?
I got a lot of stuff to say, Mike, to close out the show.
List. Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm going to take us right out to the ending, so you get it ready. You know how we end it. So you know how it is. Well, first and foremost, we got to thank another one of our sponsors here, man. We couldn't do it here without Trophy Smack. So make sure if you guys are looking for those prizes at the end of the year, your rings, your chains, your belts, your trophies, go to trophysmack.com, go into the description, hit the link in there. It'll show you everything they have. I mean, you can get awesome rings that I'm getting this year.
Ring?
I'm in the middle of a promo. Classic, you always do this to me. I was on a roll. Man. You broke it. $12 per person in a 12-person league for that ring that you just saw right there. Like Classic said, man, the Scotty Fishbowl ring is awesome. Again, they're sponsored at Trophy Smack. That's where they're running the live mock drafts. Shout out to at FF Tycoon, who was on here with us last week, and our boy Tim over on the Fantasy Frontline, who we'll mention here in a second. But they'll be doing the live drafts out there. They'll be there with Scotty Fish, so it should be a lot of fun. So, yeah, Trophy Smack. Promo code Get Right, of course, as you guys know. Go check it out. It's all in the description. With that said, of course, we got to give our last love to all of our Get Right affiliates here. Again, our boy Tim over at the Fantasy Frontline podcast. You got our boy Cody McGoats. He'll be starting up here soon as well, too, for the season with the Check Down podcast. Check out him, Shirtless Pat and the fellas. And then we got our newest show addition here to the Get Right Fantasy Network. We got the Deadzone Fantasy Show with our very first subscriber to this channel, Dim Boys DC for life. So come check out Adam, man. He's going to focus on that dead zone for you guys. Get those value picks going for your redraft season. So with all that said, man, is there anything else you guys have to say?
Did you shout out your guy? You shouted out.
Yeah, good point. See, I have more to say. I told you guys I got more to say.
I knew, yeah.
Big special thanks to Jeff Lambert, man, over there at Going for Two. Make sure you check out their Discord. The link's in the description. That's where I've been doing all these Scotty Fish drafts, mocks for these last couple weeks since I got my invite. They have an awesome Discord there. Gator J, FF Warner, a bunch of guys in there dropping links, running mocks almost every hour that you can get into. I'm sure they'll be running them through the weekend. Get your last minute mocks in before these mocks start on Monday. Go ahead, Classic.
Actually, Josh Walker, who was in our particular mock, is also part of Going for.
Let's go.
Writer and ranker over there as well. He's co-host of Dynasty Saturday Night 5. So it was great to have him in here as well. We also had he was in the 5 spot, New England Fan 12. He is co-founded a college football blog and podcast with his good friend. And it's called College Football Dogs. So check them out. It looks like they have a website as well, collegefootballdogs.com. They have Twitter. It's at CFB Dogs. So check them out as well. Yeah. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Well done. Yeah, that was from the sleeper chat. So there's the link right there. I told them to throw it in the live chat so I could bring it up on screen, but it's all good. We'll funnel it over. It's all good. But we want to give the love, man. Thank you guys, everybody, for spending your Friday night with us. We know you could have done it somewhere else, but we're happy you did it here with us, man. I'll Get Right Fantasy. Again, we'll be back here again next week, next Friday for our next Friday night mocks. We'll go back to our regular redraft mocks. We alternate between 1 QB, super flex. So if you want to get in, make sure you guys hit us up. Those things fill quickly. It's only basically 10 spots, and sometimes we'll have a guest. So maybe there's only 9 other spots for you guys to get in. So if you want in, I get people DMing me starting like Monday to get in for Friday. Those are the smart people. Those are the guys that get in. So make sure you guys do that. Also, you've been watching down here at the bottom, the little scroll. Make sure you guys are getting in touch with us for our mock draft tournament of champions. We're going to be running that tournament starting on the 31st, which is a Monday. 4 weeks of mock drafts every night with the semifinale every Friday night. And then we have our finale, which will actually be a best ball draft. We will play it out. And the winner will get $50 cash, along with some other great Get Right Fantasy Network swag. Then, I don't want to say hat. I always want to go to hat, but the hats are expensive and they're crazy.
Yeah,
but we got shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, all that kind of stuff. We'll we'll put a package together for
We're
you. We'll
working
talk
on it.
offline.
We're working on
We're getting all that together. We even got a sponsor maybe coming soon too. So again, check it out. Make sure you get in there. We need drafters. You can walk once a week to try to make that Friday finale. So again, you want any more information, come check us out. So with all that said, man, I think I'm finally done. Classic. You can cue up the intro.
I got you.
Again, for Dustin, for Frank, who couldn't make it here tonight. Hopefully we'll get him on soon.
Yes.
For my boy, Classic Mike. And then, of course, for our special guest here, Steve and Joe, again, can't thank you guys enough for coming in. The network here, we'll have to do it again soon. Other than that, peace out. The longest outro.
Fantasy is the play. Marking nothing but